Ruslan.
The Manosphere community, the Red Pill community, Kevin Samuels, shout out to the roommates. They're actually coming on the channel as well.
Oh, amazing.
The Fresh and Fit pod. There's this emerging huge thing, and a lot of their assessments seem to be aligned with, traditional values, or somebody would say biblical values, Christian values, right? There seems to be some alignment in their assessment of the issues. However, the conclusions that some folks have are, in my opinion, are completely, utterly toxic. And the most common ones I see, and I think we'll get into like the solutions to this from the flip side, but someone like Kevin Samuels saying that high value men should cheat. And that is not, some of you guys are gonna be triggered, you're gonna be like, he never said that. He said that. There's a video, I have him saying that. He said that was out of his mouth. I'm not putting sauce on it, I'm not exaggerating. Kevin Samuels said that. High value men should cheat. They should exercise their options, right? Clearly all the fallout with the Fresh and Fit podcast, you were on there. You had a great experience on there. But some of their stuff, I had 3 girls on one night, and just the over-the-top stuff. Where do you find alignment with some of that community? Because I think you're a healthy voice for some of that community. And what parts do you just utterly like, nah, fam, like this is toxic. We got to reject this. Like, and your episode on the Fresh Fit podcast, it seemed super fire. Like, it was like everyone was nice, the girls were nice, everybody was polite, no one got kicked out, there's no drama, right? Yeah. So where do you find alignment, and where would you say, y'all are tripping? And did you see yourself as like kind of a part of this whole like red pill phenomenon?
Yeah, so I'll answer that first, because I get that question a lot. Like, oh, you're a red pill wife. You're
gosh, they gosh darn it. All right.
Yeah, they already like to label you, And it's funny because, like, I stumbled into the manosphere by accident, just by calling out bad behavior from feminism, right? So I was like, what are all these terms? Like, I'm trying to understand it in real time, just like you, as I'm making my content, because, I'm here as a woman speaking out and trying to help more women.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, it resonates with the manosphere, because a lot of these ideals, or a lot of the language and the talk is very traditional minded, right? So yes, I agree with marriage. I think everyone should be striving for marriage if that's what you want, right? Marriage and children, if that's what you want. I think the nuclear family has been getting destroyed over time. And I'm a very huge proponent of that. I think that people should continue to lay the foundations, lay values and morals for children, so that children are not growing up feral. And that I say feral because we're living in that right now. People don't understand how to deal with conflict, right? Or how to deal with their emotions. And so that's a lot of where I stand with the manosphere, right? There's things that women do that I don't agree with, that they also don't agree with. But then you get to the extremes where it's like, high value man should cheat. No. What happened to discipline? What happened to having integrity? What happened to morals, like values? And that's where I can't affiliate with that stance, because I don't believe it. At my core, I'm always going to preach a positive message. I'm always going to preach marriage and children and having happy, healthy relationships, not sleeping around with everyone that you see, not like having hot girl summer. So yes, there are things that I agree with, but then that side of it where it's like, you have 3 girls in one night. Come on, bro. Like, we're pushing it a little bit. Okay. Like it happens too. And the manosphere is very broad. You spoke about it in your previous video. You have the black pill, you have the blue pill, you have the red pill, you have the pickup artist, the incels, or MGTOW,
Yeah.
right? You have all of these components. I am not here to learn about all of those things. I'm here to speak to women. I'm here to speak a positive message to women, be like, hey, there's the other side. Traditional values is the path forward. Being feminine, being submissive, being a woman who has values yourself, that's the path forward. And men should also have those values as well, right? They should also be disciplined. They should have, integrity. And that's where I can't sign off to the whole manosphere for that,
Yeah.
And I bring a different voice.
Yeah. And I think so it's interesting. So on your episode with them, the Fresh and Fit pod, before all of the controversy and all the stuff hit the fan with them, it seemed like they really liked you.
Yeah.
It was like, yay, we got one on our side, right? What was your experience like being there in person? Your husband was with you, I believe, right? He was in the room as well. Talk about what that experience was like. And that was like the nicest I think I've ever seen those guys towards women.
Yeah.
So I think even you carried a energy in the room that was probably different than what they're expecting. And it seemed to kind of shift the room as well in the environment.
Yeah, it was a positive experience from the get-go. I had a positive experience before I got there. Like while I was messaging to be on the show, no, I did not, sleep with anyone. My husband is the only person that I'm with, right? Because that people assume the worst in everything, in every situation, right? Yeah. And so, yes, I walked in there. I could already tell that the women that were there were open and just in a not combative, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can enter into a room and be like, okay, let me assess the situation. And I'm a highly sensitive person, so I can assess the room and be like, okay, this is going to be a good episode. I told that to my husband before the show even started. I was like, babe, I think we're going to be good today. Like there's not going to be any Frank Castles. There's not going to be any of that. And then the guy showed up. We did our sound check, all that stuff. And then we had the show, right? There was not a lot of interaction ahead of time because, yes, my husband is there. I respect him. He spoke to them. I don't need to speak to them. Mm-hmm. We're speaking for 2 hours on the show. Mm-hmm. And then after, they shook my husband and my hand. We said, hey, they asked if you want to come back, you can come back. We would love to have you on the show again. And even throughout the whole stream, you could tell that their body language was relaxed. They were, into the conversation. We could actually have some dialogue without the whole back and forth that happens on the show. And it's a very combative show if you watch it. Sometimes it's hard to watch because you're like, wow, is this really gonna, like, this conversation will never end? Like, can we end this? And so I think that for the audience and for even the guys on the show and the women on the show, I think it was a very productive show. Yeah. I think there was a lot of things that were addressed in a positive way. So at the end of the day, I had a great experience. I know people have had bad experiences, and I can't speak for other people, but at the end of the day, I had a great experience. My husband felt respected. I felt respected, and I walked away good.
Do you think that in some of the stuff you were saying, do you think you were persuading the women there to kind of see things a little bit differently?
Yeah, it was interesting because 2 of the girls came up after me after the show, and they're like, wow, can I follow you? Like, what's your YouTube channel? Like, one of them was like, you almost brought me to tears. Like, thank you so much for being here. And I don't think that I'm necessarily going to change their life today, but at least they got a little bit of the truth, right? Yeah. They got a little bit of that. And hopefully, over time, they'll change. Those girls are very young. Like, I think the oldest one was 26. I'm 32. I'm no spring chicken, okay? but seeing them trying to understand what I'm saying was very positive to me. And that's all I wanted. I'm not here to be like, you need to change right now. Like,
right.
So.
Right. Especially if you're in Miami, young, you know, good looking. It's not going to be like a overnight process. Now, I think God can do that for some people's hearts. But I thought that was really powerful. And I was blessed by it. I was like, man, this is so cool. Like, it was so cool to see that. And I thought that was great, because I think so much of this community, again, some good assessment, not the best conclusions, and I think that's where it gets really murky and confusing. It's like, you guys are kind of on in what you're saying, but goodness gracious, man, these conclusions, the pickup artists, all the shenanigans is like, wow.
Kingstream Entertainment, Ruslan.
When the culture says do what you love, we respond with love what you do. You may have responsibilities that you aren't passionate about, but loving what you do means being faithful to what's in front of you, committing to excellence as if that were your greatest dream. Colossians 3:23 says, work diligently at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Love what you do. Love what you do.
Kingstream.
Yo, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you found it valuable, considering giving it a like and subscribing. This month, I'm releasing the Love What You Do collection. And to celebrate, I'm doing a 3-day virtual event to help us go from learning to love what we do to ultimately doing what we love. By the way, it's free, so hit the link in the description to grab your seat today.